harden barriers, and equips leaders to move forward with clarity and confidence. Carla is a trusted advisor across sectors and a powerful voice for readiness over reactivity. That was a great bio, Carla, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you. So let's just start off with some truth. Okay? We have we have so many folks in this audience. You're already running this whole show, right? You've got the calendar, you've got the goals, you've got the team, you've got the fires, you've got the deadlines and the, oh, can you handle this too? And that was your Tuesday and your Wednesday and probably your Monday. Then one day, change got added to your to do list. New systems, new expectations, new marching orders, no new time, no new support, and absolutely no briefing on how the hell to lead through it. And now you're walking into rooms where everyone's looking at you like you have the answers. And meanwhile, you're still trying to figure out what just changed. Who made that call? And how it's now your job to figure out how to pull that all together without falling apart. It's the pressure that no one's talking about, the part where you're carrying things that you weren't meant to carry and doing it while trying to look steady enough that no one panics. So here's the truth. No one hands you this. Being accountable for performance is one thing, but for change with no clarity, no safety net, and no runway, that's a whole different kind of leadership. And it's one most of us were never taught how to do. So if you've been trying to hold it together, trying to lead other people through a transition you barely had time to process yourself, you're not alone. You're not alone. And you're not failing in this effort because you're just doing something extraordinarily difficult without a way to make sense of what's happening and how it's affecting you and your team. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to strip away the noise, name what's real, and give you a way to see what's going on beneath the surface so you can move forward without sacrificing trust, sanity, or your own leadership in the process. Are you in? So let's look at what's really happening. I have to change the slide here. Hang on. There we go. No. Okay, let's look at what's happening here. Got a little bit of a tech glitch. Apologies. You're not failing. You're just leading what most of us have not been taught to manage. We have all of these responsibilities to be able to come up and be the voice of reason, be the voice of confidence. And in the meantime, you're trying to figure out what's going on. And while you may have some clarity around pieces of it, there are a whole lot of unspoken expectations that are put on you. You can feel it, but they have no substance. You just know that they're there. You feel the weight of that. And when you're trying to lead through something that's unclear, unstructured, and unacknowledged, well, what we have is a problem. That's not just stressful, that's unsustainable. So if nobody's helping you to pause long enough to ask what's actually shifting, then you're left guessing how to keep everything else from falling apart. What most people call resistance is really just a pileup of unanswered questions. It's the side effect of trying to be able to move forward without a clear understanding of what's really changing, a shared sense of why it matters, and a realistic look at what it's going to take. I mean, honestly, it's like being handed a 3D puzzle to solve while you're juggling flaming torches and somebody's already asking you why it's not solved yet. And oh, by the way, the instructions are in Latin. That's what change feels like when you were not a part of designing the path but you're still responsible for arriving with all the everyone intact. So let me offer you this. Change doesn't just need a plan. It needs meaningful alignment between people, priorities, and purpose. Because without that, you're not leading change. You're absorbing chaos. And when the pressure to absorb all of that gets high enough, it does not just show up in your inbox. It shows up in your gut, in your tone, in your sleepless nights. So let's talk about what resistance actually is and how it works. So here's this cartoon. There it is, the entire human story of change in 2 frames. Who wants change? Everybody's hand goes up. Who wants to go first? Yeah, no. Silence, shuffling, avoiding eye contact. We laugh, but here's why the cartoon hits so hard. Because it's not about attitude, it's about wiring. When we face change, especially the kind of change we didn't choose, it doesn't just land in our calendar, it lands in our body. A clench in the gut, a flicker of doubt, an invisible internal danger, danger, flashing sign in the background. Some of you may remember an old TV show called Lost in Space, and there was a robot that would wave its arms and shout, "Danger, Will Robinson, danger." Well, in real life, that voice lives inside of all of us. It's ancient, it's primal, and it doesn't care whether the threat is a saber-toothed tiger or a new accounting system. It doesn't care because both of those things are of the same category. Because to your nervous system, uncertainty is danger. Change equals loss, and anything that feels different feels risky, even if it is technically better. That is why what we label as resistance is often really just a survival response. Not defiance, not laziness, not sabotage, just fear. Fear of losing comfort, fear of losing competence, fear of losing control. And if we don't name that, we end up fighting ghosts. We're fixing symptoms. We're blaming people for something that's actually hardwired into the human experience. Resistance is not the problem, it's the signal. It's like the check engine light of your people. You can ignore it, but the engine won't. And once you know how to react to it, how to take care of it, you can start leading people through change without dragging them through panic. So let's make it plain. We joke about the cartoon, but the truth is that gap between wanting change and going first, it exists for a reason. And that's because most change doesn't come with clarity. The expectations are fuzzy. The timeline is rushed. The actual impact, underestimated every time. But what is clear is the pressure. The pressure to keep performance steady. The pressure to keep people calm. The pressure to somehow deliver transformation while the day job never lets up. Let's be real. You're managing 2 worlds at the same time, the change that's coming and the business that won't pause. That's the tightrope leaders are walking right now. And most of the time, there is no safety net or harness. We ask leaders to drive change, but we rarely give them the time, space, or truth to prepare for what that really means. And the result of that mismatch, well, it's not just stress, it's failure. And not just sometimes. Let me show you what the data says. 70% of change efforts fail. Sit with that for a moment. Over 70% of them fail, and that number has held steady for decades. Decades. It's been confirmed by everyone. I mean, groups like McKinsey, Gartner, ProSci, Harvard Business Review, different industries, different goals, the same result. stalled execution. We have people who are not dying. I want to say dying, but they're just drowning in delayed outcomes and bad installments or bad investments and burned out teams. But even more dangerous than that is the dollars, or more dangerous than the dollars is what doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. The trust, the reputation, the quiet erosion of team confidence, and the leader who's been left holding it all together. What about you? Because let's be real, most of you aren't just managing a project. You're managing the aftershocks of all of the ones that came before, the ones that never really closed, that never really landed, that never really healed. It's all in the air. And to add salt to that, ouchie, here's one more hard truth. 9 out of 10 project team members do not feel safe surfacing concerns, even when they know things are going sideways. 9 out of 10. Not because they don't care, not because they're disengaged, but because they've learned the hard way that truth telling often comes at a cost. And that's where change breaks, not in the plan, not in the Gantt chart, but in the silence, in the tension, the fear that if you name what's wrong, you'll be seen as the problem. So what's actually what's actually causing all this? What keeps good teams from, and good leaders and even good ideas from succeeding? It's not a lack of will. It's not even a lack of skill. It's something else entirely. And that's what we're going to come to next. The real root cause. It's not that people hate change. It's not that leaders don't care. And it's definitely not because the strategy wasn't smart. It's that we teach teams to comply, but we forget to equip leaders to lead through uncertainty. We give them systems. We give them deadlines. We give them go live dates and dashboards and rollout plans, but we don't give them the one thing that would actually make all of that stick. And that's a way to lead when the humans get messy, when fear creeps in, when resistance shows up, when trust wobbles, when no one wants to go first. And that's not on you. That's on the way we've defined leadership for too long, as execution, not navigation. We reward task management. We measure stuff, but we skip the part where a leader has to walk into a room, feel the weight of 10 unspoken fears, and still say, we could do this together. Every failed change effort I've been brought into over the last 40 plus years, it wasn't the tools, it wasn't the talent, it was the missing piece that didn't show up on any chart, but showed up in every breakdown. And no one taught the leaders how to lead when everything was in flux. And no one paused long enough to ask, what are our people actually carrying? Do they feel seen in this? Do they even feel safe to speak up? When those questions go unasked, people stop engaging. They go silent. They nod in meetings and do nothing afterward. And that's not because they don't care. It's because something deeper is being threatened. So let's talk about what that is. Let's pull back the curtain. When people resist change, we're quick to label it negative, stuck in the way. But most of the time, they're not resisting the change. They're resisting the loss that comes with it. And at the core, there are 3 things every human being, every team member, every leader holds close. First is comfort. I know how this works. Second is competence. I know I'm good at this. And third, control. I know how to make this happen, even when it's not the happy path. And when change enters the picture, those anchors, they get rattled, ripped up, sometimes yanked away without any warning or permission. So this isn't about attitude. It's about survival wiring. Because in the absence of clear communication, shared meaning, and real support, people do what they were built to do: protect what they know, hold on to what makes them feel capable, and push back against what feels like a loss of control. And here's the twist no one talks about. Sometimes the more dedicated someone is, the harder they resist. Why? Because they care, they're invested, and they're afraid of failing at something they used to be good at. So the next time you see resistance, please pause before you label it. Ask yourself, what might they be trying to protect? What do they fear they'll lose? And how can I, as the leader, help them feel safe enough to let go? Because when people feel secure in their comfort, their competence and control, they don't resist change. They lead it. So let's get into those three. The comfort, it sounds soft, but don't underestimate its power, because in a world that moves fast and shifts often, comfort isn't weakness, it's stability. It's the ground we stand on when everything else is in motion. When change arrives, even if it's positive, people feel forced to let go of what's familiar, what they know how to navigate, and what they've already figured out. And when the new feels risky or unclear, even chaos can seem more comfortable than transformation. People would rather cling to the known than risk getting lost in the unknown. So when you start to see hesitation, when you see someone is reverting back to old processes, when they just want to wait a little longer until it's really ready, it's not always sabotage. Sometimes it's grief for the comfort that change is asking them to release. So when we build change strategies without addressing comfort, we're asking people to leap without giving them a place to land. That's a writer downer. Next up, competence. This one cuts deep because when change enters the room, people start quietly asking themselves, well, am I still going to be good at this? Will I look stupid? Will I still matter if I don't know how to do the new thing right away? Because most people don't say those questions out loud. They just slow down. They overcompensate. They start hovering over details they used to breeze through. And if we're not careful, we misread that behavior as resistance, when what we're really seeing is someone who's lost their sense of competence. Because here's the truth: in the face of change, even your top performers can feel like beginners. And no one likes feeling less than, especially in front of their peers. When people aren't sure that they will succeed, they do not lean in. They stall. They sidestep. Sometimes they sabotage, but not because they're malicious. It's because it feels safer to blow it up than to be exposed. If we want people to move forward, we can't just train them. We have to restore their confidence. We have to help them reconnect with their sense of capability, not just their job description. Because without that, all the new systems in the world won't matter. People won't risk their identity just to keep up with your strategy. Just saying. And then there's control. The moment change is declared, even if it's logical, necessary, and well planned, control is the first thing to feel threatened. People hear the announcement, the new direction, the new software, the new structure, and something inside goes, I didn't choose this. Nobody asked me. I have no say in how this happens. And here's what most leaders miss: when people feel like the change is being done to them instead of done with them, resistance is inevitable. not because they're petty, but because they feel powerless. And let's be honest, for many, this is not the first time they've seen change roll in before. They've watched leaders disappear midstream. They've been promised input and then overruled. So now they cling tighter to process, to territory, to anything that gives them even the illusion of control. That's not obstruction, that's self preservation. And unless we're willing to honor the need for agency, we'll keep mistaking trauma for troublemakers. When people feel seen, when they feel invited, when they know how they fit into what's next, they stop defending the old and they start building the new. Now, after everything we just named, what's been missing is not intelligence. It's not training. It's not even more effort. What's been missing is space to pause, space to see what's really happening without shame, without spin, space to hear your own voice, not just the noise of everyone else's urgency. That's why I created the Change Clarity Snapshot. It's not another workbook, it's not another framework. It's a moment of truth, a place to spot the invisible weight that you as leaders are carrying, see where clarity is being compromised, and name your next move, not in reaction, but in response. Because let's be honest, most of you are already doing all the things, all that busyness, all the leading the team and managing the deliverables and holding space for your people and trying not to fall apart in between. And still something feels off, a little sluggish, like you're moving forward through molasses, like the plan exists, but momentum does not. The snapshot helps you see why. It contains two powerful tools: the 7 shadows of dysfunction, the leadership edition. These are signals that show you where things are getting stuck. The other is the dual lens check in, because leading change successfully, that demands that you know what's happening around you and what's happening in you. And this is not about calling you out, it's about calling you back into your clarity, to your leadership, to what's actually yours to carry and what's not. Because once you can name it, you can leave through it. So let's be real. Readiness isn't handed to you, it's something you choose to name and then decide to build. No one's coming to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, here's the roadmap, here's your plan. And also, here's a team of unicorns to make it all frictionless. You build readiness in motion, you build it with clarity. You build it with the willingness to ask harder questions and to stop waiting for perfect conditions. You don't need a new personality. You don't need a new job title. You don't need a cape. You need a moment to step back and give shape to what you've already been carrying. Because once it has shape, you can make decisions. You can take action. You can lead without wondering if you're getting it wrong. And the good news, that moment is waiting for you. If your days feel like whack-a-mole meets emotional triage, if you're carrying the weight of everyone else's uncertainty while trying to stay steady yourself, if you've been wondering, is this what leadership is supposed to feel like? It's time to pause, to breathe, and to remember clarity isn't a luxury, it's leadership. And for the first 12 people who request it, I'm gifting a $300 private strategy session to walk through your Change Clarity Snapshot, which you can grab at that link. One-on-one with me. No fluff, no fix it fast pitch. Just time and space to finally name what's real and decide what you actually want to carry forward. Why am I gifting this? Because clarity changes everything. And you deserve that before you carry one more thing. Your link is on the screen. Claim your complimentary consultation and let's walk through this together. This isn't about having all the answers. It's about finally giving shape to what you've already been holding. And if you're willing to stop wondering whether you should already have it figured out, we can start building something that actually works. You're not failing. You didn't miss a memo. You're leading with weight you were never meant to carry alone. Let's make this the moment when that starts to change. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Carla. We thoroughly enjoyed your session. Thank you for your valuable time, Carla. And we have a few questions from our audience, Carla.
Okay, I'm wandering my way back. Okay. So are you going to be reading these to me or shall I be taking them straight from the chat?
Yeah, I want to ask you one of them.
You want to ask? Okay, please.
Yeah. What inspired you to develop the change leadership operating system?
Okay, so I'm going to change my microphone, or I'm sorry, my speaker here because I'm having a difficult time hearing you. My regrets. So, give me a moment, please.
Yeah.
I don't know how many moments we have. Let's see. And I am going to thank you all for your patience, by the way. While I'm trying to figure this all out, I do hope that there was something that resonated with people as we went through this. And Melinda, you may have a better view of that than I did. Um, okay, so I'm not sure how to do it. So let's try it again.
Yeah. What inspired you to develop the change leadership operating system?
Ah, the change leadership operating system. What's really fun about that is across these 45 plus years that I've been doing this work, there have been these gaps that became so apparent through normal business operating system approaches to things. So, as a change leadership, I'm sorry, as a change management professional, certified, degreed, whatever, there are things that leading through let me step back and express it this way. If you think about a business as a giant jigsaw puzzle, all these integrated parts and the business operating system that is in place wherever you work, it has all the rules and regulations about how all of those pieces fit together. It's tight. So the business operating system has that all covered in it. What doesn't get covered is when you take a piece right in the middle of that puzzle and you're shifting it. You're adding in a new system. Maybe you're merging with another company. Maybe whatever it might be, you start to fuss with how that piece fits into the greater whole. The business operating system doesn't have a lot of space for how we manage those shifts. So the change leadership operating system is something I devised to be able to fill in so that when you start messing with the fit of a puzzle, you know what happens. First, it's a nice cohesive picture, and then you start adjusting how those pieces fit together, and it radiates out. You need to be able to manage that radiating out. And that's what the change leadership operating system does. It weaves in with what's already in place. It doesn't supplant anything. It just works its way in so that as we make those shifts, as will happen in any business, and especially today, we have a way of being able to address the shift, how that takes place without losing a beat. That just became incredibly apparent to me over the decades. That's what led me to do it.
Yes, thank you for answering. And we have few more questions from our audience, Carla. We will post it to your email.
Boy, this is just so frustrating. I just want to dig right in, and I'm not able to hear your feedback. And so here's my question to you, Melinda. Is there going to be a way for me to be able to capture what is in the chat as far as questions go? Not trying to avoid being able to answer them now. Just I can't hear you. So is there a way for me to be able to grab that so that I could address those?
Yeah, we will post it to your email.
Okay. My email
Yeah.
is Carla, CARLA, at CJL Innovations. That will be all one word. CJLINNOVATIONS.com. In fact, I could put that in the chat, can't I? Gosh, look at me in technology. Do you know,
Yeah,
I was
you
programming before
can leave it
most of you were alive.
Yes, you can please drop your email in the chat box, please.
There it is.
Please drop your email in chat box.
I did.
Yeah,
Do you see it?
we received
Okay.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your valuable time, Carla. We are very
Well,
honored.
thank you. And please take me up on that offer. The free that free gift, the Change Clarity Snapshot. Powerful. Some people don't need anything more than that. It just gives you what you need to just get a clear picture of where I can start. Thank you all for your attention and your participation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care, all. Please write.
Yes, Carla.
Yes?
Yeah, please join in our next session and be on the backstage, please.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.